Hello students, welcome to EPG Patashala. I am Dr. K.R. Ramamohan, Associate Professor, Head Department of Anthropology, Sikkim University. Today we are going to talk about a module on Neo-Evolutionism from the paper Theories and Methods in Social and Cultural Anthropology. Before we begin this module, let us see what are the different learning objectives at the end of the lecture. To introduce history of anthropological thought by tracing its historical development, to classify the course of historical development, academic and anthropological importance in terms of its development. It is also an attempt to look different methodological approaches to the origin of culture. A theoretical orientation is basically a general attitude about how cultural phenomena are to be explained. As you know, a number of thinkers during this period began to discuss specifically on cultural evolution and how it might have occurred in this whole civilization process. Well, the prevailing theoretical orientation in anthropology during the early 19th century was based on belief that culture generally evolves in an uniform way or pattern, and it progresses in the due course of time. So evolutionism, basically classical evolutionism, talks that all cultures in all the societies had a similar pattern or an uniform way, and it had developed into various ways what we have today. And this whole process has some kind of an end. It reaches to the pinnacle. That is, most societies were believed to or have passed through the same series of stages, whether it could be Africa or whether it could be the Oriental society or the Far East or Oceania or the Americas or Asian, whatever, all these cultures, all these societies might have passed through same stages of to come to an end. This is what the whole perspective of cultural evolution or classical evolutionism might have gave us some understanding to the anthropology. Now, challenging this, that what might have gone through all these stages and how it has been evolved, there is a new, fresh perspective in anthropological thought which challenged this prevailing classical evolutionism is called Neo-Evolutionism. That is, new evolutionism in understanding all the cultures. It's a school in anthropology concerned with the long-term culture changes. And if you look at one culture, you have some culture and how this thing have taken place in long period, and with similar patterns are also seen or developed in other cultures which they are unrelated or they have no connections with other parts of the world. Geographically, they have been cut off. Neo-evolutionism goes on understanding how these long-term changes and specific cultural changes have taken place in localized cultural context. Well, Neo-Evolutionism has started in the mid-20th century, and it seeks to address the relation between the long-term changes that are characteristic, especially to human culture in general, and the short-term localized social and ecological adjustments might have taken place, which cause a specific culture to adopt to that environmental conditions and makes a unique culture. This perspective is not being explained by the classical evolutionism. Why certain societies have different culture and why certain other cultures have different cultures. But the basic understanding was that these societies might have passed all the stages uniformly in one direction. But contrary to that, neo-evolutionism challenges says that how could societies adapt the forces, external forces which have come to them, and how they have adjusted and adapted, and they have been internalized these factors which gave a long-term aspects of cultural adjustment to these societies. Unless until there is some kind of a force which hinge upon these societies, cultures cannot change. So this is a good explanation given by the neo-evolutionary perspective, which gives a broader understanding of how unrelated cultures have some similarities, and why they have differed in terms of adjusting to the environment. These things. One of the renowned anthropologists from a neo-evolutionary understanding is Leslie White. Leslie White has radicalized the whole concept of neo-evolutionism in terms of giving a fresh understanding of how societies might have harnessed, or how societies might have utilized natural resources which is prevailing in those geographical conditions, and which adapted and made as a long-term basis for their cultures, and all the social organization have been centered around that kind of a cultural adjustment. So Leslie White was of opinion saying that perhaps for the first time technology was being introduced in this whole theoretical understanding. How cultures have manifested, how cultures have invented technology into their cultural settings, and how this technology has transformed their economy, their religion, their social pattern, and how do they differ from other cultures, and why cultures have this technology and why other cultures do not have technology. This explanation was not given by classical evolutionists. They simply says that all cultures have passed through some one stage, or cultures have similar things, all societies progressed towards the development. But Leslie White has says that technology of human invention is the main key aspect of societies in understanding the cultural evolution. So when we start at how culture evolved and what makes this culture, what are the components of this culture. So in this sense, Leslie White gave a new theoretical understanding that technology was the driving force to harness all the energy levels in a given yeah. And the other neo-evolutionists are Julian Stewart and Marshall Chalins and Elman Service have also significantly contributed in undertaking this neo-evolutionary perspective in terms of cultural evolution. And these understanding says that social evolutionism cannot be taken for granted. Unless until there is an empirical evidence, how can we take it for granted that all societies might have passed only once one similar pattern? And look at all the cultures in the society. So social evolution has no empirical base, and they try to challenge this concept of social evolution. So in that sense, they took immense studies from archaeology, paleoanthropology, to see what are the evidence-based kind of things in a given culture, and how particular societies have that kind of a culture basing on these kinds of archaeological, paleoanthropological evidences, which gave a new understanding. Yes, because of this society has this culture, because they use this technology, because they taken this technology and they have invented this kind of a thing to use that kind of an energy. What are the resources available? What are the materials available in that particular culture? So in this sense, neo-evolutionists have gone beyond the concept of conjectural and armchair anthropologists sitting in a room and saying that all societies might have passed this stage, all cultures have these similarities. So in this sense, this is a breakthrough understanding of whole cultural evolution from saying that each culture is unique and they are inventive in terms of developing a new technology to harness all the energy which is surrounded and all the resources which are available. So how did they discover these resources, and to get these resources, what kind of tools and technology is available? In that sense, neo-evolutionists have discovered that cultures might have invented certain things to bring these changes into, and they internalize these changes into their cultures. And how cultures have advanced. If you look at comparatively all the cultures in this society, some cultures have advanced technology, some cultures do not have technology. So what could be the reason? So this was not explained by classical evolutionists. Why? Why is a society is, when we quote, say that it is an advanced society, or it has some kind of more economic activities when compared to other cultures. So another neo-evolutionist called Gordon Child has given some kind of an understanding that uh, human beings in all these cultures are inventive in terms of food production. So this kind of food production is based on certain kinds of technology. If you look at the classical evolution, that all societies might have passed from hunting gathering societies to horticulturist, and horticulturist to settled agriculturist. So why this has taken place? If you go back and see how certain societies have advanced from horticulture to settled agriculture, there could be perhaps some kind of invention of food production. It is not only just like hunting and gathering, and it is at a sustainable way. So human beings